Hey, good morning, guys, and welcome back. You're live with Bubba Da Vinci. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and my phone is already dinging. Let me see. I'm turning off my phone. Sorry. I thought I did that already this morning. I don't mind having my phone on, but having the ringer on is kind of annoying. So, good morning. How are you? Just got back. Well, I shouldn't say just got back. I got back late yesterday from my trip out. You can't hear me? My mic's on. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Can you still not hear me? Okay. So missing can hear me, but wifey can't. Okay. Wifey, it sounds like it's a you problem. Okay. Well, I hope she gets her hearing check there. All right. Yeah, so just got back from my trip to Cali. We went and met with I met up with Trainer Club about TwitchCon and got this beautiful hat. Look at that. Ooh. And went down to, or I guess I went up to San Francisco to do some meetings, and we'll cover all that here in a bit. But man, when I hit the ground yesterday, I was pretty jet lagged. So I flew out 5 a.m. on Monday morning, which means that I have to be up at 2:30, leave at 3:30 a.m. to be there to catch a 5 a.m. flight. It's travel time, and you have to go through obviously security, everything else. So 2:30 in the morning is my wake up time, get going time, and that's if I'm smart enough, which I was, to pack everything into the vehicle on Sunday. So then, being in the Midwest, I have to go I went from here in Des Moines to Colorado, and then Colorado out to San Francisco. And our meeting was at 11 a.m. Billy and I met around 10-ish, 9:30, I guess 9:30-ish in the morning, California time. Went and got our rental car, and then Bay Area traffic, we were driving down to San Jose for our first meeting. And all that went pretty well, but it's a long day. Billy had just done 3 days at QuakeCon. I did it again. Wow. TwitchCon. And he was already tired. And, we tried to have conversations. We both hadn't eaten breakfast because nothing's open at 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. So we swang by, grabbed something to eat, and tried to catch up on how stuff went for Billy, and then went to our meeting. Long day of shooting content and doing meetings. Then drove back up to our hotel in San Francisco because I had a 5 a.m. flight back. And, going east to west is never that much of a problem. I mean, you still have your whole day ahead of you. It makes an exhausting day, but your day is, you have time. That's not the problem. Going west to east, not only is it exhausting. So once again, for a 5 a.m. flight, I was up at 3. Although our hotel was only 15 minutes from the airport, San Francisco Airport SFO is way, way, way busier, like a times probably 1,000 multiplier of Des Moines. And so it takes you that much longer to get through everything. First getting through security takes a lot of time. And yes, I do have, I've got clear, I've got, pre-check, you name it, I got it. I'm a frequent traveler, so all the bells and whistles, they're there. But all those bells and whistles still don't help you when you've got thousands of people all getting on a plane. And San Francisco and the Bay Area is a commuter city, meaning that like everybody that was on the plane, my plane was, all my flights were full there and back, 100%. Not a middle seat, nothing left in any of the sections. And the reason why is a lot of people commute via plane to go in, not only for meetings, but even for work for the week. It's cheaper to live, someplace else and just commute to the Bay Area than it is to live in the Bay Area for a lot of people. So 2 very long days. I got in at 6 p.m. last night into Des Moines. Had some things I had to do in town before I drove all the way back, because I'm not going to Des Moines again this week. Knock on Formica. And then came home, got home just enough time to do the chores so my daughter didn't have to. And then I literally jumped in the shower and crashed. And that's very unusual for me. But I didn't turn on a computer. I didn't do anything. I just walked in the room, flopped on my couch in my den, and I woke up at 3:45 this morning. Just straight out. No dinner, just out. And so, man, exhausting. But overall, it was a good trip. And getting up this morning. The other thing is, our temperatures here are getting pretty cold. I mean, it's almost. I started a fire on Sunday before I left because the temperature is dropping. It was in the high 40s, high to mid 40s on Sunday night. I think today the high might only be in the 60s or 70s, and then tonight, I believe. We're getting down into the 40s and 50s again. The downside of that is it's all with rain. Apparently, it was raining. I told you guys it's been rainy and muddy the entire time before I left. And when I left that morning, it was raining. And when I got home yesterday, it was raining. And when I got up this morning, it had just finished raining. So right now it's 52 degrees outside. We do have a sunny day today. High of 76 and low of 51 tonight. So temperatures are getting down there. So the reason I started a fire on Sunday was, it's going to sound bizarre. Every year you need to run cleaning logs and clean your chimney because birds nest in it at the end of the season. It is not uncommon to have bird nests at the top of your chimneys here in the Midwest, sometimes down in the chimneys. And you have to run your first fire to make sure that it's not clogged. You want to run, and we run like really hot creosote posts, hot enough that if there is a bird's nest. Now, don't worry, no birds in these nests. They use them in the spring. They nest inside any place they can find to keep away from predators. Then the babies are hatched and these are gone. So these are just nests that are sitting there empty. And so, before you start tearing apart a chimney and start going out there and do things, the first thing you do is you run a creosote log inside the thing. That melts off all the tar, but it also gets hot enough that it will combust usually a bird's nest. If there's only one up there, if there's multiple or they're down in the chimney, you might have another problem. But you can tell if you've got a clog because the smoke won't go up the chimney. It'll back up it'll start backing up. But the goal is to get the creosote off that's frozen there from the previous year and everything else. So and it's warm enough outside. It's raining here, but it's still warm enough that you can open your window. So if the smoke does come inside, it's not completely smoking up your house and killing you. So I ran one on Sunday. We definitely had a bird's nest up there. Smoke was filling up our fireplace a little bit. But I ran that creosote log, obviously broke the jam free, and it was flowing up, but it just wasn't open airway. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and run a second one. But it looks like the next couple of days is going to be perfect for it because the temperatures are so cold. No rain today. We have sun, so maybe things will dry out. But you can tell we're going to have a cold winter. To have this in September, we're not even in October yet, and already be hitting these numbers, unless there's a big thing moving through that kind of, like we get like an Indian summer, and that makes it nice. The odds are it's going to be super cold this winter. I mean, I'm even thinking about turning on the heaters. Like 3 weeks ago, I had air conditioning on, and now I'm looking at putting in heaters. So kind of crazy time. So got multiple things I want to kind of talk to you guys about today. Before I kind of get into the more fun stuff, I'm going to jump instantly into the economy. So being out in Northern California, I'm always, I'm never sure what Californians are thinking when it comes to the economy. The market and people's brain and the scale on everything in California is so skewed. I mean, it's a world within itself. And the company I was meeting with, Rockworks, and we met their CEO and things like that. He's originally from Australia. His wife is from New Zealand. They've been here for quite a few years now, 15, 20 years. And we were laughing about it because, he lives in the Bay Area, and they're looking at houses, and they're looking at things. And right now is a great time to buy in the Bay Area. It's moving up. But so many people moved out of California. There is, and the prices were so high that, right now housing prices are at an all-time low in the Bay Area, and they're good. They're building back up quickly again. But during COVID, so many people wanted out of California because you couldn't afford to live there if you weren't working. And everybody moved to Tennessee. I mean, all these other states. I mean, if you could move out of the big cities, you did. And Tennessee had Tennessee, Austin, a lot of states with a lot out in the country, housing boomed, and now they're suffering because the reverse is happening, which is companies are demanding people come back to work, and people are having to move back into the Bay Area. So the market's kind of all crazy and everything else. But with the Fed doing that 50-point basis slash, the mortgages are like at a 2-year low. The question is it really a buyer's market? Is that low? And we'll kind of go over the whole economy thing. But anyway, when we were out in California, it was interesting to hear their perspective because, again, they're so out of whack. They'll pay for a house. We'll pay here. We'll go into Texas. The house that they're living in Texas would probably cost around $300,000 to $350,000. We're talking a 2,000 to 2,500 square foot 3-bedroom home, probably built late 80s, early 90s. Nothing amazing, nothing fantastic, but that's probably the base price around the Austin area. In the Bay Area, that thing's going for $900,000. Here in Iowa, that thing would probably go for 90 to 120. Okay. And so many people, when they left California during COVID, things were so skewed that, they were going out there. They were selling their houses in California for $800,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, moving to some place like Tennessee. Tennessee and getting just a ton of house for like what they would look at as like crumbs, and so everything is so skewed. And then you have to move back, and they're like, oh my God, how can I afford a house here? And this was the stories that Billy and I were hearing when we were there, just kind of hearing about the economy in general and how high gas is and the taxes are and everything else. And when when the market's in a panic, Nvidia, stock going down, things like that. And these are big players in the Bay Area, and everybody kind of watches them. It kind of really throws everything off. And then you have, all these car companies. So like, I don't know if you heard, but like VW just laid off 30,000 employees in Germany. And there's several car companies, another 1,600 employees are getting laid off at another one. Jeep's got problems. There's like, I think I told somebody the other day, or maybe I've told you guys, there's like anywhere from a 200 to a 400 day supply of vehicles, like record number of vehicles that are sitting on lots and going out there. So like VW's in crisis. They haven't had this kind of problem. 30,000 people losing their jobs. And this isn't just, there's like lots and lots of car companies that are doing that. Beijing, for the first time, is really showing their panic. So they just launched their first stimulus package, showing the state of their affairs, because they're trying to bolster their economy, especially their markets. And so I'm trying to find the number, but it was like 114 billion with a B, $114 billion worth of liquidity support for the stock market on top of this massive stimulus package. And that just freaked everybody out, because, now again, for China to do that, that shows how bad their economy is when you're putting out $114 billion of liquidity support for the stock market, as well as stimulus packages for the general population and corporations. It's like billions, which then turned around and sent gold to a record high. Gold was hitting, I want to say, like 2,700. It was, I don't think it hit 2,700, but it was really close to like 2690 or something like that, almost $2,700. I think it went back down a little bit towards the end of the evening, but again, a huge sign that people are worried about the economy when the economy's in the toilet, and the S&P and the stock market, and and everything's like S&P 500 and the stock market, like down, Dow and NASDAQ, everything's going out there. Everybody runs home to mama. And what's mama? Silver, and actually mom and dad, silver and gold. Silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold. Now, me being a self-reliance guy, I'm always into silver and gold. When it hits its lows, I'm out there. I'm a hard asset person. I wish I had a nice hard ass, but I'm a hard asset person, not a hard ass person. And maybe I need to start doing squats. That's how I'm gonna start doing squats. When the prices hit a certain amount, I will go and buy physical gold or physical silver. I want the hard asset in my safe, in my hands. A lot of people here are buying futures. I don't get the gold future thing. It's basically these companies are physically, I guess they're physically buying gold and holding it for you, as opposed to you holding it. And it's a futures game. You get a certificate, you manage all that. When, to me, that's no different than playing the stock market. If I don't physically have it, I don't necessarily trust it. And I'm not going out and buying $100,000 worth of gold. I'm the kind of guy that it's like, okay, if I have an extra $500,000 in my pocket, when the market looks good, I'll make a decision whether to maybe throw that into a stock, that looking for, putting it into something that's very safe, that could look for retirement. But my in-laws, and I've had so many family members and myself burned by the stock market, I don't put a ton into it anymore. And the ups and the downs are too big. But occasionally what I will also do is I'll go buy a gold eagle or a Chinese panda or, some silver, and that's a physical asset I own, and I put it in there. So I'm feeling pretty good because, I don't remember, about a year and a half ago, I decided I had a little extra money, and instead of just leaving it in the bank account or spending it on something wild, I just went ahead and bought some more gold. And if it stays in the $2,600 range, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, that's a good solid asset in order to do it. But again, to me, these are all just signs of the economy. I mean, read the room, people. I'm not saying this is, it's the end of the world and doomsday, but I mean, I'm not even going to go on to the massive destruction that's going on over in the Middle East still, or what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine. I mean, there's wars and it's so volatile out there. China's been kind of on the edge of everything, not really saying anything. China finally does something that's big enough that's got all the economists going, oops. And again, $114 billion. Remember, you had Temu lose, and Temu's still like pumping sales out like crazy. Actually, it was funny. It came up in my conversation in my meeting in California. This vendor was saying, his sales are slumping. That's what all my vendors are telling me. And he's saying that his family's getting ads on Temu all the time. And because he likes to check out. He's got a company that's knocking off his product, and he's been watching it on Temu. And he's like, it's so bad now that Temu is advertised, pick your first product, pick 3 products, and whatever the first product is, you can get it up to free, 70% up to free. And so he went on there to see if it was actually there, and they took off the entire $100 item, to try to sell the 3 of them together. Now, because they make this shit in China, and I'm assuming most of the product quality is crappy. And we'll talk about another vendor that we were talking to or about that kind of made that point, drove it home. Their margins are massive, and Amazon's part of this whole thing. Amazon used to be an American company that was really interested in taking over the online world, making sales better for all American companies and companies all over the world. And now they're basically a Chinese agent. They're over there teaching these companies, factories, that they don't even need the resellers here in the United States anymore. They can go factory direct. And when the world is going factory direct, and which is what's happening, all the middlemen start suffering and disappear. And so why would I go to Walmart and pay X, which is the cost of the product plus shipping plus marketing plus everything else, when I can get the exact same, theoretically, the exact same product drop ship from a Chinese warehouse, the manufacturer who's making it? All you're doing is making it easier for China and potentially other countries to rip off IPs and sell direct into the market through our own local company, Amazon. And nobody's penalizing them. It's ridiculous. So anyway, so again, I told you, Temu lost like $50 million in a week. It was like massive sales drop. I mean, everybody's feeling this shit. So, so it was just, I'm watching the trends. So I'm going to give you guys like a heads up. All right. This might, the Fed, did the 50 basis points, a week ago now, 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's all just flying so fast. And I've been watching, I haven't seen a lot on the news, but here's what I'm going to tell you is watch what's going on. Watch your mortgage rates now. If you financed when everything was high, everybody I know is jumping in now because the mortgage rates have dropped significantly. Like I said, to I think a 2-year low now. But the Fed had announced that they may do 2 more slashes, one next year and another one this year. And so, oh, and then I guess I did miss something and I don't remember. The other thing that's like at an all-time record low is the consumer. They do the consumer CCI. I can't think of what the CCI stands for right now, but like the consumer index that rates how everybody feels about the economy. Also had its largest drop in, and I'm trying to see if I can find an article on it. It's funny when you read the articles when you're on your phone, and I need to save them on my phone because these things fly past so quickly. And Yeah, I'm not seeing it anymore. It was yesterday's news. It's not today's news. Today, everybody's talking about all these companies that are looking to go to Mexico and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I said Temu, so now I'm getting a bunch of Temu ads on here. So anyway, it's the CCI Consumer Confidence Index. Boom, there you go. I knew I'd get it eventually. Anyway, the CCI dropped from like 106 points down to in the 90s, right? Biggest drop in a very long time. So again, all this, when the CCI drops, when gold prices soar, when everybody's doing this stuff, it's supposed to, things are supposed to bolster confidence, and all it does is really erode it. And so the ICE, International Exchange, whatever, they released their report on the first week of October, like October 3rd. Unemployment data comes out that same week. We already know they lied to us once, and there was over 880,000 fewer jobs out there, or fewer people working, than they reported in the previous one. And that got found out, and then they reported that. So, we're over 5% there. And then the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they all come out in the first week of October. And that's when the Fed will be looking at potentially making its next slash and everything else. I would say hold off on doing any refinancing. Go ahead and do your research, look at everything. If you have a high interest rate loan, I have one of our buildings that we refinanced last year, maybe the year before. Every building, everything I have that I own, we own now, except for one. When we started this company and we did everything, I don't take, it was like, I didn't want to take a paycheck. I have staff that I have to pay. We brought in a limited amount of funds, which I put in a significant amount of myself. And, my partner Yi and a couple of people, it was like, we were trying to keep, we're coming out of COVID. You want to go ahead and try to keep as much of your company as you can as you're doing a startup, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I sold off several properties and I refinanced one, which gave me enough money in my bank account to basically pay myself for that, for a period of time. So I was drawing off my own money. And additionally, we had those couple of storms and I had to do some repairs. Now, we've been dealing with this for a while, right? So, and at that time, unfortunately, the interest rate was way too high. So I'm looking at refinancing. I mean, that's just a smart thing to do, is to go ahead and refinance when the market's low. But, looking at all these things that are happening, I'm going to anticipate another drop in interest rates. There's too much inventory out there. They need to get people buying. When interest rates are low, even I am looking at the markets, and I'm looking in Tennessee and in a couple other places that I've been looking at for years. And during COVID, prices went out. A house that I was looking at that was $115,000 sold for $395,000 because it became in bidding wars. And I hadn't seen this since the .com era. But people want it, and this is a nice little house on 25 acres of land. And eventually this property will probably go to my daughter, my youngest daughter, and I'm already looking around at what's next. And we were looking there, and we were looking at Florida, and both, boom, prices started getting up because people wanted to get out of California, New York, the big cities, and go to places that they could have a little more property, cheaper prices, and put some money in the bank. And now everybody's leaving, and so these houses are like rock bottom prices. I mean, they're really starting to go out there. Housing developments. There's several housing tracts in Tennessee that I've been looking at, brand new 2022, 2023 builds that 50% of the houses haven't been sold, and the bank loans are coming due. And these houses that they wanted $500,000 are already down at $300,000, and I'm going to guess they're going to get into the $2 range, and that's a good time to buy and get rentals. And at, $200,000, if you can get that, put 10% down at a super low interest rate, and then rent that out, you can probably rent that out for enough money or Airbnb it to cover your mortgage for the year. This is how I did it my first time. And so I'm just telling you, whether you own a home and you have a high, you look at what you were paying in an interest rate. Banks are looking, everybody's looking right now in order to make a move. And I'm going to say, I don't think any of these reports are going to get any better. I've already started doing research on the interest rates out there. I obviously can do much better. Every day in my email, I'm getting pre-approval notices, asking me to refinance. It's like, hey, this is a great time to refinance. You're pre-approved. Yeah, I've been pre-approved for more credit cards, more financing, and more loans in the last 30 days than I can remember in the last 30 years, which again is a sign that everybody's worried about the economy. And so just keep your eyes open. That's the last thing I'm going to say about the economy. So this wasn't all negative. I'm hoping that you can look at that as a good thing. If at least in the US, if you've been looking at potentially buying a house, if you've been looking at, if you need to refinance, now's the time to be watching everything. Now's the time to get into it. I don't think unless something dramatic happens, and I don't think 2025 is going to be much better for the economy. I think we'll start pulling out. And this is my Nostradamus type predictions. I think 2025 is a flat, maybe slightly up era. But the problem is that people at the end of this year, it's going to be so bad. People are going to be reporting their losses. People are going to be filing for chapter. There's going to be so many things going on. And you don't hockey stick, right? Certain stocks will, certain companies will, but the overall economy typically goes down, and then it goes like this for a while, and then it'll start going up. Unless something big happens, we go into a world war, something like that, which artificially adjusts the economy. I can't see like that with the economy. So you got some time, but you don't have a lot of time. It's kind of like gold prices. You're watching, I think, very soon you're going to see cars at rock bottom prices. I'm even looking. You have to look at all this stuff because it's just be smart. Just be smart. And again, do your own reading. I am not an economist. I did not go to college, for this stuff. I'm only giving you my life experiences as a self-reliance person. We had, at our shows, we would have a lot of economists come in and talk about this stuff. I think knowing how to work your numbers, do things. I've got so many tips, that I've learned over the years, not because I came up with them or I even understand them. Usually when I have these experts at my shows, I sit and listen myself and read their books or whatever it is. And then usually I invite them out to lunch or sit down with them because I usually need more information. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm sharp enough that I can hurt myself, but not sharp enough that I accidentally cut myself all the time. Anyway, you guys kind of get the picture. All right, where's my pen? All right, so economy down. So I would take a look at that, guys. Watch it, see what's going on. So let's talk really quick about TwitchCon. So I'm getting all this from Billy and 4 other content creators that went to TwitchCon. I was supposed to go. I had a couple meetings set up, and I was going to go out there. I'm glad I didn't. So the hotels out there ended up starting at around $400 a night for some of the worst hotels, up to $1,000 a night. That's how overpopulated the area became. I don't know what their final numbers of how many people went to TwitchCon, but there was also several events out there. So hotel prices were outrageous for what you were getting. What I would normally spend, $97 to $120 a night on, were at $500 for staying at hotels around the TwitchCon area. This year, it sounded like, from the information I got, and I would say it was not of value. TwitchCon is always kind of a party, but it's a party with enough training classes and things like that, and elements. I relate it to Comic-Con. Comic-Con used to be a serious collector show. Then Comic-Con became a collector show / party in which all your people that were into any of the genres could go and meet and share community and everything else, which is great. And then you had all your cosplayers that were coming there. And the more everything got online, streaming and things like that, the bigger they became as celebrities, to where every TV show and every movie wanted to launch their shows there and do panels there because it's their fandom, right? And so it's moved further and further away from what it originally was, which was a big con based on trading and everything else. And now it's more of a big dog and pony show. Okay. Not saying there's anything wrong with that as long as you tailor your expectation to that, right? It's much easier. I've talked to a lot of comic guys and they go, I'd rather go to a big trade show where everybody knows they're there for buying and trading and everything else than spend 5 times or 10 times the amount of cost, which is at Comic-Con, which is now more branding and every celebrity signing their comics and that sort of thing than a serious trade event. And that's okay. Like I said, that's okay as long as you know what the expectation is. So TwitchCon used to be a place where you would go and meet other creators and go to classes and share information and do all this stuff to make a better streaming universe, right? And it now has become, my understanding, more of a party. So, they launched this communities things like where they have the DJs and all this other stuff. So there was all these DJs there. The vendors that were there don't make any sense. Car companies, just companies who are trying to do something with the influencer market or just get their branding in there, but actually do nothing to enhance it. All the companies who sell products to creators, so Elgato, DJI, Razer, all those companies were there. Again, that makes sense. Part of a show like this should be trade show, but my understanding was everything was a stage. The classes were that you got no information from the classes. There was really no area for, like, you'd see someone and then you go up and say, hey, you're such and such, I'm such and such, and you guys maybe talk a little bit about your shows. But Twitch isn't doing anything to enhance the networking of their own show. All the people I talked to who went there to really try to find other people to co-create with, or to ask them how they're building their system or their businesses and things like that, it was almost non-existent. There were a ton of parties, and so it was much harder from my perspective or for my purposes. Billy said it was exhausting because he was hoping he would go there and meet a bunch of creators and have those conversations organically. And Billy knew how important this was to us. And so he had to work 3 to 4 times harder to make those same connections and seek those people out, because he said he would go to seminars that said they were geared towards community building and networking, and he'd go there and that's not what it was at all. And so you'd have to kind of seek people out and have these conversations, and more people were, he didn't say this, I'm saying it. It sounded more like a big jerk fest than it was anything else. Everybody's stroking each other's egos and trying to self-promote and do things like that, as opposed to what a con like this should be, which is about education. I mean, Twitch should be doing things to make Twitch better. And so there should be a two-way dialogue between your creators and the company, and creators to move everything up. And if that's not happening organically at these events, then there's something wrong with the event. This becomes a CES. It becomes a kind of a sales event. And even that wasn't done well. So, I can't remember how it goes, but, it's like, doesn't make a difference. But basically we got some contacts, we got some things. I mean, it was for us, although it probably wasn't as effective as it could have been. I was hoping for a 4 times multiplier of what we had done. But it sounds like Billy did better than most of the other people I talked to. And I got a hat. That's what I got. I got a hat. But we also pulled some good information out of there. I mean, I think, I don't think the show was on when we were going live. I know some executives over at Twitch. Several of them have left the company. Some of the founders. Every rat knows when a ship is sinking. And everybody starts looking for lifeboats and something to grab onto. Twitch is oversaturated. Shit, I'm on Twitch. I mean, if I'm talking on Twitch, the market's oversaturated. This is a face for radio. This is not a face for Twitch. And my 6 to 8 people every day. There's so many people like me that are on there, and that's cool. I mean, for me, like I said, it's an outlet for, out of the 50 million content creators that work on Twitch, 50 million, a lot of them are trying to make a living on it. Right now, Alexa, I think she's like, I don't know if she's been streaming for 80 hours or her goal is 80 hours, but this whole subathon thing, I haven't flicked over there. I need to go over there and support her. But I think right now people are watching her sleep. I mean, can you imagine giving up 80 hours of your life? And I mean, now I don't know if she's doing, she's got school, things like that. I don't know who watches a blank screen for 80 hours, unless she's wearing lingerie or something, who's sitting there and who sits there and watches someone sleep. And what have we really become that voyeuristic of a society that's what we want to encourage? Now, again, I'll go over there and support her because she doesn't have another job. And, she's going back to school to learn more about this and everything else. So she's giving it the old, college try, I guess, literally now. And you want to support people like that. And you want people to try to find their dreams, but what will you do and how far will you take it in order to achieve that? I can't imagine, unless it was for charity, that I'd ever have somebody or let somebody watch me stream while I'm sleeping. I don't know. It feels creepy to me. But when I told my daughter that Alexa was doing it, she said, yeah, I watched her. And I'm like, what did you do? And she goes, nothing. I just turned it on to support her. And I think she subbed or she gave something for it. And I was like, good for you. Right. But it's like, wow. It's like, really? And I think she said that she, like while she was sleeping, she had like 50 or 60 people that were watching, at least had the stream on, that were supporting her. Now, I know there's goals in Twitch for, maximum streamer hours and things like that. I would have to assume that's got to F with your numbers. Although if she's hitting 54 watchers, even when she's sleeping, that's pretty good. I can't get 54 watchers and I'm streaming live. So good for her. And I'm glad she's got that sort of good supporters. But yeah, again, but there are 100,000 or 1 million Alexas out there all trying to do the same thing or trying to make that kind of money. And it's like, some of them are making enough to support themselves. Some of them aren't, and this is definitely not helping the US economy when you got 50 million people doing this, as opposed to going out there and actually taking some of the open jobs that are out there and creating real economic money. So it's going to be interesting to see what, like I said, Twitch, Facebook, everybody's struggling. Everybody's trying to figure out what they're doing. So we'll move to kind of a segue on that. The vendor that we met, so they're hurting too. So the answer was Twitch was not worth it. TwitchCon was not worth it. Wouldn't do it again. If we do get invited again and we go, it's gonna have to have a completely different element, and we're gonna have to have a different completely agenda, because we're not there to party. We're not there to talk to those vendors. We're not there. We're there to make those connections and everything else. Billy had said that if we had started promoting why we were there and set up our own meetings and announce them, we probably would have had more creators coming to one place. But as big as it was, you said it was hard to find the people that you were looking for, and you were having conversations and it was constant. Everybody was partying and running around. So thumbs down. So then we went to San Francisco, met with this vendor. This vendor has been spending $20,000, $30,000 a month on ads, Instagram, Facebook, not seeing the value. So he's dumping that. But he said that it's interesting because everybody he's talking to, his peers and he's part of a work association, and they're all doing the same thing, which is going to cause a panic for Facebook because Facebook has been plugging along at such a high rate with so many ads and everything else, unless all the money is going to come in from China, which is a possibility. These guys are seeing massive decreases where they're putting out $20,000 a month and they're not making their money back. And so if you start seeing that trend and people start dropping off again, now the platforms are suffering, which we're already hearing. We've been hearing about Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Their advertising numbers are abysmal compared to a couple of years ago. And so there's another sign of kind of what's going on, and stabilization has to come quick, and we have to find new and interesting ways to kind of figure this out. So, which jumps me into the next kind of semi-economy question. Let's go to Pokemon Go. So I've covered whether TwitchCon was worth it, covered the economy. This weekend, Niantic announced another new tweak or an element that's going in there, which is you can now share through the party portion of the game your incense and your I think your eggs. I think it was incense, eggs, basically anything that you pay for that you click, and now you can share with the party. Now, from a perspective of if you live in an area that you do community days and you team up with people a lot, this could be a good money saver for people who are no longer have not been spending as much in the game. Because if I'm hanging out with Billy and Alexa and Ollie and a bunch of different people, and we're in a party group, and one of us can click an egg, and we rotate through, but we all get those benefits, that's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper. I mean, I've been to some of these events. We can spend $100 a day, on things when you're out there grinding hard. And you're going to put on 8 to 10 hours or more of eggs, of incense, of stars, and all that stuff. And if one person is going to make that investment, or you can split it amongst party, 2 to maximum. I think maximum in a group is 8. Missing 8 if you're on. Is that right? Whatever the max number is, 6 or 8. If you can hit your max number, then you can divide it up by that number, and everybody gets that benefit for that period of time. Now, the timer resets on the party group maybe every hour. I haven't done party that much. The only time I ever use it is when we're at an event. And even then, depending on the group. It's only 4 in a party. Okay, thanks, Farm Don. All right, so 4 in a party, so you can divide it by 4, and I know there's a timer on it, that you have to max. And so when it drops off, you're going to create a new party, but you can just create the same party again. It's not that big of a deal. So, so there could be some benefit for playing like that. I don't know yet. Again, I do egg, I do all that stuff usually because I'm in a rural area. If I save up when I'm going to egg, so like, if I'm getting to hit best friends with someone, I wait until I have enough of them and there's an event going on. So I egg once and, use it for multiple things. And I rarely ever party. I don't know if this will get me to use the mechanic more, but it was something. Good job, Niantic. You gave us something. They gave us Dynamax this month. Again, I don't know how Farm Don's doing or Missing O's doing on that. If you guys are doing it, Billy's been doing it a little bit. And he got a hundo. Yeah, I've done it a total of 8 times now. And it's a neat mechanic, but I just don't have time to add that extra thing into it. Again, I'm in a rural area. If I'm going into town, I'll go ahead, hit everything, get my 800 particles for the day, go, and at 400, cost, I'll do two quick raids, but I don't go into town that much now. And I'll do my 2 and I'm done. And haven't got a hundo, haven't got anything good. Right. I'm not, they're releasing 3 more, I hear, in October. So I don't know. As it builds up, maybe I start to do it. It's a great way to get you out raiding again, because most of the stuff they put out for raids now, you despise it. Yeah, it is starting over. It's basically, hey, we ran out of things to put into raids now. There's less there's less interest in raids. So many people have the hundos they want already. And so we now have to give another type of hundo for you to start hunting. So you have another thing to do. First, it was regular raids, then it was shadow. And so you went through that whole mechanic. So people are kind of done with shadow. I mean, you're still searching, but it's like, it's not as big a thing anymore. I picked my shadow rage now. And now you got Dynamax. It's like, and I agree, Farm Don, and it's just another thing. So, and then the next thing is the events keep launching. So first it was the big Pokemon Go events, right? Your main events. Then it was Safari. Now they have the Wilds that they're doing. And I'm just like, okay, are you just coming up with new names to do the same? And so I'm all, some of the safaris and some of the small events are okay, but most of them you get there and you can tell Niantic and Nintendo have put 0 effort into them. Goose egg. It's not where their money definitely goes is the big events, right? And then going down from that, some of the safaris are great and some of them aren't. And it's really based on who's doing them, meaning the city, like Singapore's awesome. Singapore obviously invested time and money into it and they wanted to be there. I've been to 2. They sucked, right? They sucked bad. It was like, you could tell no one really put any effort into it. It was cool to go to a new area, but, and Niantic is also known to try to tie it in. No way. I didn't even know that. Really? I think, well, here's the thing is, houses in the Niantic and Ingress, houses could be marked for certain reasons. I don't remember what they were. So I think they're just reusing the Ingress information. So I think that's how some of these are randomly popping up in houses. Going back, so some of these events suck, and what they try to do is they try to piggyback on when a city has another event. A la Mexico, when Farm Don and several of us went down to Mexico City, they did it because it was the Day of the Dead, or the weekend. It was the whole week, but the Week of the Dead and the Day of the Dead celebration. So they tied into that, and they did I think they did a little. But you could tell there was no major presence of Niantic in that planning. They just looked at where the city of Mexico City was doing their stuff and then threw up some Niantic stuff to kind of blend the whole thing in. So now you have the Wilds, and the Wilds are starting back in Japan, but it becomes a cluster of events. And my bigger thing is, so first, is this just like them throwing out these other ideas? It's like, we just need to keep generating money, and there's cities that want us there. And so we can't do 15 safaris a year. So now we've got safaris, and now we got the Wilds. And then the next thing we're going to have the such and suches. It's like, are they just throwing out names and slapping lipstick on it to say they're generating events and have people go and charging you God knows how much money? I haven't seen how much. I don't think they've announced how much the the wilds are going to be as far as cost. But it's not cheap to go to safaris and or any of the Pokemon Go fests. By the time you buy your main ticket, all your extras, everything else, without your airfare and everything else, you're in a couple $100. And then you go from there. And they create that FOMO. And I don't even feel like Jakarta, they just changed a freaking balloon color for Jakarta. It's like, okay, do I need another Pikachu with another shirt? I mean, how many Pikachus in shirts with balloons on his back, and how many balloon variations do I really need? It's the same thing as we were just talking about with doing the Dynamax. More hats. Give me a cowboy hat. Yeah, all Pika hats. Yeah, exactly. We're going to get into cards here in a minute. Yeah. And so I don't know. It's like, I was just reading this and I'm like, I can't see the benefit unless they post something spectacular about wilds that differentiates it so much from a Go Fest or a safari. I think someone should Niantic should sit down and say, okay, our biggest events are Go Fest. Here's what it is, and here's everything you get, and we're charging you this much. And here's our next step down, which is a safari, which is a smaller event, and here's the things you have, but they're unique from Go Fest, and here's the reason you go to this, and we charge you this. And here's the wilds, and here's what you get for wilds, and here's the price. And it needs to be mapped out so someone can go, okay, I've done multiple Go Fests. I'm now going to try a couple of safaris, or I'm going to try a couple of wilds because here's what differentiates them, and that's interesting to me. But if you can't make that thing, it's just a ridiculous travel schedule. You see the same creators, the same thing. I mean, I guarantee you we're going to see Zoe, and we're going to see Cricket, and we're going to see Pokédex, and I mean, it's the same people getting invited to the same thing. It's going to be pretty much where these guys are traveling 12 months out of the year to go to these events to play, to try to keep this game alive. Just spend a little bit of a time and try to come up and create something that's cool and new. So I'm gonna throw something out there. I've got a whole 6 people on right now. My numbers keep jumping between 6 and 8, so this is good right now. So I'm going to start a petition, and it'll be live on Saturday. I'm writing it. And I'm going to petition Niantic in 2025 to do an event in Australia. All right. I am tired of Japan. Now, I understand why you want to go to Japan and Southeast Asia, because the cities there will spend their own money to go out there and make it look dynamic. Although I don't think Jakarta did the same thing. I don't think it has that sort of draw. We've been to Latin America. We've been to Europe. We've been all these places. When the F are we going to go to Australia, right? There are lots of players there. A good number of content creators that you're sending all over the world are from Australia. Let's hit their territory. Let's create something that no one's done before. Stop hitting Japan 4 times a year. Stop hitting Korea 2-3 times a year. Stop hitting Southeast Asia or Asia 5-6 times a year. Let's go someplace new. So I'm going to put up a petition, and let's see if we can get, I think if we really, if all of us push it, all 6 of us, but if we all start promoting it and I get Billy to promote it and everything else, I think people want to see something new. And I think Australia would be amazing. I'm not saying we're in Australia. Let's just get the first thing going out there. Let's let Niantic know that we believe that it is not a forgotten territory. There are lots of people there playing the game. They supported the shit out of Niantic during COVID. Lots of people playing, lots of people spending money. There's people like me that, and I know lots of people that I go to these events for, all wanting to go to Australia and meet our friends, meet Missing O, meet these people that we know from them coming to us, or meeting them at other events that we'd love to go to them. And let's that you can. I don't care if you started off as a Go Fest. That's great. That's a great way to look at it, Farm Don. And I maybe even say that. Maybe make it a while. I don't care. I think there's enough support there from what I'm hearing from people. And I think you would be just going to Hawaii and seeing how much merch that I bought and everybody else bought going to a Hawaii event. Since no one's been to Australia, this would be a cash cow for merchandise. This would be a cash cow for travel. This would be a cash cow for getting people, because everything, for probably, I'm going to say 80% of the Pogo playing base, no one's ever been there to actually do any of the spins. It would be all new spins, all new local catches. Everything would be new for us, right? And I hear it's such an awesome country. I mean, let's put some shrimps on the Barbie and go down there and have a good time. Yeah, have a couple. Yeah, go see some crocs. Go see some sharks. Go. I mean, it's such a wild place, at least in my head, because I've never been there. I want to go see a kangaroo boxing match, right? It's like, whatever it is, I want to experience it, and I want to experience it with my friends, and I want to make those landmark first time, marks in my Pokédex. I basically want to throw away every character that should be a regional and get one from Australia. It's just, anyway, petition. I think Niantic doesn't hear anybody when they're on Twitch or Twitter or whatever, because it's a lot of noise. It's not compact. You don't see it in one thing. But if you could get 100,000 plus people saying, I would love to see, and I want, and I would support an event in Australia. Stop dicking around and stop doing events in San Francisco and San Diego and blah blah blah. And I mean, in the same areas and the same thing, because everybody has seen it. Let's go someplace new. I think they may pay attention. So watch on Saturday. I hope you guys support this. Yeah, it would be cool. It's a signature, guys. I mean, but I think we can get something pretty cool going. Get that petition going. So I want to make sure I write it so it just doesn't seem like a big hot mess. I want to make sure we get some real basic, language in there that makes it seem serious. So that's the petition portion. All right, I'm already over on all this stuff. So I need to do my card pull. One of the things Billy and I were talking to, which is, I ran into a lot of people, and I've been talking to a lot of people since I've been doing the card collection, and everybody talking about the cost. Everybody's been talking about, I'm starting to slow down on this. I can't afford this. Too many things coming out there. And I'm talking to creators. I talked to a couple of creators that they get free product from Nintendo to open on their streams, and they buy some of their own. And these guys are 15 editions deep, and almost none of them have a master deck. And the master deck, I believe, if I'm using the terminology correct, is when you have one of every card in that collection. That's a master deck. And I understand that most people will probably be chasing master decks for lifetimes, because some of the cards in there, the golds and things like that, they're supposed to be difficult. That creates that FOMO. There are going to be cards that are hard to put in your collections, but these guys are not even 50% through most of a master deck before they're jumping onto the new, whatever the new one. So, like we talked about this the other day. They launched Shrouded Fable, and then it was literally like 3 weeks later, the new box set came out. And the only reason I didn't do this one, although I bought some, this is from a box, but I didn't open up any of the packs, is because this one was coming out and I knew it had 4 Lapras cards. Actually, I only thought it had 2, but it has 4 Lapras cards in there. And so I decided to start this one so I could hopefully A, make a master deck, and B, get those cards for Billy. Now, in order to stay relevant, in my head, what I've decided I'm going to do is I am not going to either go with Shrouded Fables or the new one, which launches in like 3 weeks, which is the last one for the year. I'm not going to move on to either one of those until I finish all the base cards. Yeah, I don't think I'm not going to try to get the entire master deck full before I get done. If I don't have any of the gold cards or all of the 3-star, I'm using this because the other one's behind me and I don't want to turn around. Okay, so this one here, it's a little bit different. It looks like. So this actually looks like it has fewer cards. It does have fewer cards. So if I don't get all the red stars or the gold stars in that deck, so, and I'm talking about on the gold stars, you have the 1 gold star and the 2 gold star. I think that's how it works, and 3 gold stars. I'm okay as long as I get all the silver stars, right? The gold stuff is supposed to be harder to get, and so I'll move on to the next collection if that's all that's left. If I've got all the base, both regular, normal, and foil, or whatever is in that thing. So the whole front of the box, the whole front of the collection is full, and I'm down to just the golds, gold 1 stars and gold 1, 2, and 3 stars. I'm okay, and I'll keep collecting, and I will keep trying to get a master deck, and I'll work those well, and I'll come up with a balance, and then I'll start off with the next deck, or the next box set. But I want to see. I'm going to start when we do the next one. It's too late for this one because not only have I already started purchasing and I lost track of what I purchased, but I've had several people send me cards, and even more people locally give me cards to fill up this deck or this master pack, whatever. And because they found out this was my first time collecting them, and so I went to the card shop and they go, "Hey, we've got these 10 cards that we pulled and we don't need them. Go through your book." And I carry my book with me, and we went through and they didn't have them, so we did some trades, right? And it was kind of cool. I said, "Well, what do you want for it?" And they said, "Hey, next Wednesday when you come back again, bring your spares." And they're building playing decks, and so we just traded things. They didn't want these other cards. They wanted stuff for the playing decks. It worked out great. So I can't really figure. I don't know what the spend is on a master deck. Because there's probably right now 25 cards in there that I didn't tear, right? Maybe even more. And so that's kind of why I did that. But I think it is interesting to get the cost and trying to figure out what's going on. All right, well, let's do the quick card open, and then I'm going to get going. Oh, I know there was something else I need to do. I need to do a box opening as well as a card opening. So, because I'm going to start playing. Actually, I have my first low-level tournament in 3 weeks. I went ahead and I want to make sure my sleeves were unique. And so there was a limited edition sleeve set that had Psyduck on it. And I should have brought the card over here. I actually have the card that this collection is through. It's one of the Psyduck ones, which is Psyduck and Slowpoke on the card as friends. And there was a whole series out like that in different things, mats and everything else. It was very short time and very limited, and it was mostly released in Japan. And so I went on eBay. Actually, I should say, I saw someone with these at the Worlds, and Billy and I went and started searching around so I could find these. We found Lapras ones for Billy, but I couldn't find any. So Billy went online to eBay. I'm not a big eBay guy. And he found a place that actually had a bunch of them, and he gave me the link, and I decided to buy them. Now, I ordered these in Hawaii, so it's been quite a while since they came in, but they got delivered while I was gone on the trip. And this is what they look like. So these are going to be, the guy had 4. I bought all 4. He said he's going to try to get more. I want 10 packs. Each one of these has 60 in them. It's basically the image. That's the card. That's actually the image of the card that I have, which is a Japanese card. And I have that physical card in, I believe it's a 10. But these are the sleeves, and these are going to be my tournament sleeves going forward. So if I actually play against either, anybody, these are going to be my build decks. So I'll always have, if you see me with just a bunch of cards and they're in sleeves that aren't these are not my battle decks. These are my battle decks. And if that guy finds me the other 6, I'm buying them. That'll get me, each one of these I'm told has 60 sleeves in it. You get 60 cards. So I want to be able to have 10 different battle decks that I keep around with me. And then, or maybe 8 and have some spares. So that's cool. That came in. I'm glad I finally got it in. I'm always worried about ordering things from eBay, from anywhere in Asia that I'll ever see them. And so when I finally got the box and I saw it, and it was like, woo! I was all excited last night. Like, I'm opening those live. All right, let's do this real quick, because I do have another meeting, and then I think Yi and I are meeting and actually, I don't even know if I can get the meetings in between now, because I have so short a time. All right. So we'll just flick through them real quick. I'm not even going to call them out. Got it. I'm already starting to recognize what I think I have and what I don't have. Don't know if I have it. Got it. There we go. Oops, I had a perfect spot right there for a second. Got it. Ooh. I don't think I have the deluxe bomb. I think that's a new one. Ooh, boom. Okay. All right, that's a good pull. I have that. Oh, definitely have that. I got like 5 of those now. Okay. All right. So nothing, well, maybe one good card out of that one that goes in the collection. Nothing spectacular, and nothing that helps Billy Boy. I have to say, I gave him his 2 cards. So I gave him his normal Lapras and the other Lapras that I pulled when I saw him. So Kwame, don't need it. I might need that one. Put it aside. Don't need it. That goes in the collection. Actually, I do believe I need that card. So that is Zora, but it's actually a pretty card. Oh, I got both versions. Look at that. I got the holo and I got the reverse. So if I needed that card, I just got both of them in one pull. I don't know if I need it. No, we were not. So wifey, I apologize. We are talking today. We're doing a meeting today, and we're talking about streaming together on Saturday, and I would open it here and we just do it live. We decided we didn't want to just open it and not open it on air. And so we kept it sealed so we could read the card and do everything else. And we were both just so tired. Like I said, we went straight there. Yeah. So if we confirm today, if Billy doesn't have anything on Saturday and he was going to check when he got home last night, then we will pick a time on Saturday to stream, and then we'll open that live. and we'll also be able to kind of do a joint update together. So I'll let you guys know tomorrow morning if that's going out there. All right, so we'll see. Man, that would be a home run as far as if I don't actually have either one of these cards, to get both of them in one set. That's really cool. But yeah, other than that, I think that it was an okay pull day. All right. Well, thanks for joining me again. We'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. For those of you guys remember what that reference is. I don't know again what the weekend is looking like, but we will on what's going on. And so this is Bubba saying, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon. I am out.